Welcome to Story Punk. I am Scott.
And I am Drew.
And we are here today to talk about the first in our international, this is the first of our first movie, our first episode of June. June is we decided randomly, arbitrarily, that
June 2026.
June 2026 would be our international cinema for the summer. No passport.
How alliterative.
Needed. I know, no passport needed. And our first stop is Norway with the movie Sentimental Value. The movie came out this year. Well, I guess technically it came out in 2025, I believe.
It did.
Yes.
It did.
And it's directed by Joachim.
I believe it's Joachim
Trier. No, it's actually not Joachim.
Joachim?
It's Joachim Trier.
There you go.
And
he also it's Lars von Trier, so I should have known that.
He is. He also directed Worst Person in the World, which I have not seen.
I've not seen any of his movies, but I know he did that, and he did Oslo, August 31st,
yes.
And something else. People seem to like. I'm not against seeing them. I just haven't gotten around to seeing it. I've heard that The Worst Person in the World is really excellent. So
is that a comedy?
I don't know. Is this a comedy? Because I think it's more like this.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's not a comedy then.
There you go.
And this movie is about this is I can't remember where I got this. I don't think I got this from IMDb, or maybe I did. The summary is sisters Nora and Agnes reunite with their estranged father, the charismatic Gustav, a once renowned director who offers stage actress Nora a role in what he hopes to be his comeback film. Nora turns it down, and she soon discovers he has given the part to an eager young Hollywood star.
That's more descriptive than the IMDb description,
okay.
Which is an intimate exploration of family, memories, and the reconciliatory power of art.
That's not
pretty broad.
Yeah, it's pretty broad. But, that's why I said I always wanted
Isn't
to become...
that Super Mario Brothers movie?
I always wanted to be Secretary of State. You know why? Because when something bad happens, they always send you abroad. Sorry. There you go. I like that. That's a throwback, misogynistic 1980s type joke there. Sorry, guys. Anyway, so we have in this movie we have Stellan Skarsgård, who plays the father Gustav, and it's Renette Rensvad. I actually have this spelled out phonetically, and she plays Nora. She's actually going to be in the Backrooms movie, which I'm surprised because she seems like she would. The Backrooms.
Is she in that?
Yes.
Oh wow.
But I mean, a movie based on basically a meme. She seems like she'd be above that, but maybe it's a really good script.
She would tell a Ejiofor in that too.
Yes.
Like there are real people in that movie.
I know they're like real actors in that movie. You would think something like that would have like like these maybe like up and comers, but. Elle Fanning is also in this. This will be our second Elle Fanning movie, I think, right? Just our. I mean, I know it's at least our second. We haven't done the others, I don't believe.
Well, we've done one Elle Fanning movie and one half Elle Fanning movie with a full Elle Fanning. So technically, we've had 2.5 Elle Fannings in 2 movies.
There you go. And she plays Rachel Kemp. She is the Hollywood star that we speak of in the summary.
Stellan Skarsgård casts in the role he wrote for his daughter.
Reluctantly.
Well, also that's the only way he can get his film funded.
Yes, but so this movie, it is. Here's what I'll say about this movie. It is. I think this is kind of a different movie than we normally do on this. In this podcast, but I feel like we tend to. I don't know. It's just. I just feel like it's kind of different. I feel like it's a little more contemplative than most of the movies that we do. In this, I mean, I'm not saying that we don't ever do movies like that, but I do feel like the majority of the movies that we do don't.
Well, if you mean that it's about family drama and emotions, and easily could have been the same exact thing but 25 minutes shorter, then yes, it's more contemplative than most of the stuff that we watch.
So I think one of the things that that it does it explores sort of this idea of personal connection and artistic expression, and sort of the connection between those two things. And it's like it is complicated to kind of get your I feel like it's dealing with a lot of emotions. So like sort of like kind of putting this into words where it was a little challenging for me because as I was thinking about it, I mean, the idea of this this character Gustav, who is I mean, he's definitely like he's a narcissist, but I feel like when you talk about narcissists, there's certainly different types of narcissist. So he isn't like one of those like aggressive in your face narcissist. He's one of those like down low narcissist, like where it's like not down low. That's not the word I want to say. And I wish I would have kind of maybe written this out a little bit more. But he's like one of those kind that it's like you know, there are narcissists, and it's certainly ones that I've experienced in my life where it is where they seem like a nice normal person, and it's not and like but like when you examine the relationships and their behaviors, you're like this person's a narcissist, and that's kind of how I feel he is. He's not like you know he's not you know I'm struggling to put these in put this in words because I do feel like that you know as I look at this I can't help but think about you know relationships that I've had in my life where I've seen someone that's like this. There's someone, and you know obviously I'm not going to get too personal here, but there is someone in my life that was important in my family who was you know it was very narcissistic but everybody was like, oh, she seems so nice. And it was like, and I mean, you get this impression from, I get this impression from someone like Gustav, who seems like he seems like on the surface is a nice guy, but like you could see from his, what we see in this movie, in his relationships with his family, he is not always, you know, he definitely puts his art first. And he is, but the thing that I will say is that I think he does bear the weight of, I feel like he knows what he's doing wrong. He just can't help himself. Like I feel like there are moments, especially like when he's drinking or whatever, that I think he kind of feels like he understands, or maybe I don't know if he understands, but he definitely feels something about what he's doing, and that. It upsets him when he makes the call. There's the one scene in the movie where he's laying on the sofa and he's drunk and he calls and you hear him and he's like it's kind of incoherent. He's saying I'm sensitive. I haven't seen you know his daughter is a stage actress and she's
pretty good.
Yeah, and he's like trying to like say like he's never seen her act. You know, and that's established early on. Like and
well, because he never showed up. That's what you're saying. He seems nice. I'm like, he seems like a completely absent father.
Yes. No. What I'm saying is
not like, but not like even like he decides to go and find that DP that he wants to work with again.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, you have a cane. You're frail. And then he starts lying and he's like, yeah, I don't know that the job is yours. I have to talk to the studio. And the guy
obvious.
Just sees right through him.
Yeah.
Like really, this is how it is. So he's a selfish drunk. It doesn't make him an evil person, but he's a selfish drunk and a shitty parent. And the whole movie that he's written is about his trauma as a child being passed through him to his own children, which is why I don't know if we'll talk about it later. I don't know how real and moving the ending ultimately is, but that's really why he wrote the movie, was to basically say we have this in common, because he can't bond with his children since he left. And if you only call them when you're drunk, and if every time you say you're going to show up, but you know he didn't show up to like the soccer game when they were 8 type of thing, so he certainly didn't show up to her premiere in the Seagull or whatever. He's not a good person. It doesn't make him evil.
Well, when I say he's nice, I don't mean his family knows the deal. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about what you know, and that's something that narcissists do. They put on that show for everybody else, the people that he doesn't have to have those relationships, the real relationships with, will not realize that he is selfish. Like you said, he is a selfish drunk. He's never seen his daughter perform, and that was like one of the things when he's drunk and he calls her up and he's like babbling and he's like I'm very sensitive, and he's like, it's like half-ass like excuse, like
It's
why he's
bullshit.
never. It is
Yeah.
bullshit, but it is like, and it's bullshit. But there is, I mean, the guy's mother committed suicide.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's something there, but just because, I mean, things happened in his past, and there is a point that you make a decision. Is this are you going to let that affect how you're going to raise your children? Are you going to I mean you make choices, and sometimes they're very hard choices because you don't have, I mean, like I said, I don't want to get to, but well, I know from personal experience that sometimes things happen in people's childhood that can make it very hard if there is, let's say for parents, if no one was there to model for them.
Sure. Absolutely.
And it can make it very difficult. But trust me, I know I will, it's from personal experience, doesn't mean that as the kid that you need to forgive them
Right.
for that, because they, no matter what kind of trauma they went through, you still need your parent. And if you're going to choose to have a kid, sorry for the trauma that you went through in life, but
Well, I think
you have a kid, you got to do something.
You can, like, what happens at the end of this movie is two adults deciding not to forgive each other, but to connect. And there's a kind of hopefulness, like, where is this going to go?
Yeah.
And that is probably a happier ending than I would have expected from this movie.
Sure.
Because
But I don't think
it's about how, like, art heals the family rifts. Because, I mean, he's not a monster. He's not evil.
Yeah, and I think
this isn't The Celebration by Thomas Vinterberg, where the family secrets, that's a great movie. The family secrets are like, wow. Like, my sister killed herself because something horrible my dad did to her. Kind of, it's just, he was just gone.
Yeah.
And in his absence, like you're saying, you don't have anybody telling you how to parent. That's why one of the most powerful things in the movie to me is the relationship between the older sister and the younger sister, played by the truly excellent performance, unpronounceable Inga Ibsdotter Lilias. The two other actors and Elle Fanning, they all got more of the awards attention. She's amazing because she has that line where she says, you didn't have dad, but I had you.
Yeah.
And that's very powerful, and that's very very real and stuff. And like the movie, I don't know. I don't think the movie was trying to tell us how to feel about Stellan Skarsgård or anything like that, because these are all broken people, but some of them are more broken.
Yeah.
But you see why they're broken, and it does this shot that's like Persona, the Bergman Persona shot, where all two daughters and father, all their faces sort of kaleidoscope together and stuff like that. And it's like, no, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. It's all the same. It's all the same trauma. It's all the same family. It's all the same cycles. And this is ultimately, I think, a light ending of them breaking through it, which is nice. Like, it's not like the movie doesn't earn it or anything. It's a sad story about sad people, but at the end they make this movie together, and it's like, oh, I think I get you, because he wrote a movie about his mom killing herself and leaving them behind, and you learn her whole story and having been a prisoner of the Nazis and all that stuff, but also he abandoned his own children, and now they're adults and they can connect.
But the story is really about his daughter.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's about his daughter who's still with us, and perhaps they can like, I don't see them all like getting along all the time, but maybe, like the idea, like she met her father for lunch.
Yeah.
And his whole thing was like, I wrote this movie, I want you to be in it. And her attitude is basically, are you kidding?
Yeah.
Why am I even here? This is ridiculous.
He says you're a good actress, and she's like, when did you
like, how would you know? Yeah.
And I think that he is someone who I mean, like, I think the idea, or what they're trying to portray in this movie too, is that this is all kind of messy, because even the ending is messy, and I mean that messy like emotionally messy, not like storytelling messy. And I feel like it's a that it's supposed to feel like, kind of like you said, you're not quite sure. It's like, is this supposed to be the happy ending? Is this supposed to be? I feel like it's supposed to be the best ending that we could hope for these people, because there is, you can tell like Gustav is, once he realizes that he can't have his daughter, then he's like becomes obsessed with, he's going to have his grandson in there. Like he wants to have some kind of family connection
Right.
to this movie, because the movie is about his mom, but it's really about his daughter. And then he's like, it's like, okay, well, I can't have, and you see like even Elle Fanning picks up on it, because he has her dye her hair, and then she starts looking at his daughter's Instagram, and she's like, shit, I look like her. Like he's making me look like her.
Right.
So he has this longing. He understands. So like, okay. So I don't, like I said, I don't want to try to get too personal here, but
Why not?
I mean, well, I don't know, because it's like, I don't know. It's nobody's business what goes on in my life. I mean, really.
You afraid you're gonna make me cry, Scott?
No.
Because I will.
No, it's not. No, I'm just saying like sometimes it's like,
Well, it's up to you.
I don't want to make.
We live in a world where everybody
here's the thing.
shares everything. You don't have to. It's
Here's
up to
the
you.
thing. What it made me think of, and this is when I see somebody. So like we're talking about like the Wonder Boys, and you see somebody like Grady, and then I see somebody like Gustav, and so I was raised by my aunt and uncle, okay, and when I look at these two people, Grady and Gustav. I feel like Grady's like my mom, and like Gustav is like my dad. And my dad,
Interesting.
they were not like around for most of my life. And my mom was kind of around. But like my dad, the thing that was different between my dad and my mom is my dad understood that he kind of wasn't doing the right thing. And we were able to reconcile down the road.
As adults.
Yes. And I think he always had the pain of what, he left when him and my mom got divorced when I was 2. And that was, so when I see Gustav, I kind of feel like maybe that's where this movie at the end, maybe this is where they're pointed, the direction they're pointed in, that maybe they're going to have the moment. I'm not saying that my dad and I ended up being like best buddies and we were hanging out all the time, but we were in a good place. He passed away in 2003, and
Is it that long?
Yeah.
Wow.
And we were in a good place. In fact, it was really strange. I always hear people talking about having these almost like out of character, really personal moments with like a loved one right before they pass away. And that's what happened with my dad. Like my dad and I, like most of the time when we'd ever eaten together, at least that I could remember, it was usually like like big family get-togethers. And one of the very few times, it was a week before he passed away, we sat down. He had just gotten a new house. We sat down and ate, just me and him, and that was like, I could probably count on my hand. Like
Was it nice?
it was nice. It was me and him. We just talked about stuff.
That's good.
And we just sat there, and he made dinner for me, and he was like. And my dad was a character. My dad was like a larger than life. Like, this is why I can't watch the movie Big Fish without bawling. I mean, like, because my dad was a very larger than life character. Everybody had stories about him. When my dad passed away, we had everything from, we had military, we had priests and nuns, we had strippers, like literally.
It was one of the most colorful funerals I've ever
all
been to.
Types of people were there from all walks of life. We had firemen, we had everybody there, and there were so many people, these types of people there. But my dad, to his credit, always knew that what happened was, when he wasn't there in my life when I was a kid. I was raised by my aunt and uncle. It was his sister that raised me,
right,
and her husband, and my mom just like, it was just a totally different situation, and I don't. That's why I haven't, for as long as my dad's been passed away, I haven't talked to my mom almost the same amount of time. I haven't talked to her at all.
Wow.
And my mom has never met my kids, so she has no clue. She doesn't even know. If she knows what her grandkids look like, it's not because of any. She's never met them.
I gotcha.
And but this is where I was saying. So this is kind of what I was getting at, is that that being said, and as much as I am not, my mom is, well, you're not gonna get into all that. I'll just say this much: is that my mom did not have a good model for parenting. and I won't, there's a whole lot that goes into that. I'm not going to get into all that, but I will say
That's for Patreon.
She had no, that's for a therapist. But she had a terrible modeling for parenting, and so. But at the same time, I was her kid, and I'm sorry, I just can't. It's a whole thing. So anyway,
you don't
don't
have to forgive your parents. Your parents are supposed to do basic things, like protect you. And when your parents don't do that, like I know your story.
Yeah,
you are an incredibly lucky guy.
Yeah,
that you ended up with the family that's your family that raised you.
Yeah.
And they're lovely, generous people, and you are worth every second and effort of affection that you got. And it's very sad in the sense that you didn't get that from your parents. It's very gracious of you to have let your father try to reconcile with you, and that you can have memories where you shared a meal and stuff. But to me, it's like, I don't have kids. I don't want kids. I'm fine with that. One of the hardest things I could imagine, especially as I get older and I see my friends' kids get older and stuff, to go from being a parent or from not parenting to have an adult relationship with your child as an adult. That's got to be really, really hard to figure out, because I've seen a lot of people suck at it, but they suck at it in very different ways. And so some of it is, like not modeling being a parent because you didn't have good parenting yourself. Then how would you know how to be a parent to an adult child? And some of it is also people saying, like, I made a mistake, I want to connect with you, my son. And you would have the right to say, I'm not interested. And that's fine.
Well, and I think
your father was quite lucky in that way, that you were willing to do that.
Well, I think what it was, I think it's because it started early. My dad had issues. I mean, my dad got sober, which certainly helped.
Sure.
And because my dad and it wasn't like there's anything bad or awful like that he did or personally, he just wasn't around.
Well, that to me, that's not about good or evil or whatever. Neglect. Whether he's not there at all or he raises you in the house and doesn't pay attention to, that's a terrible thing to do to a child that shapes their whole life.
But the thing about it is, this is what the difference between him and my mom is that my dad, this therapy session is brought to you by BetterHelp. But
I'll take their money.
Really. But my dad always realized what he never stopped apologizing for it. And he always realized what he did wasn't right and felt terrible about it. And he never, like I said, he never stopped apologizing for it. And that's why I always feel different about my dad than my mom, because my mom, the things that she said, even after, like, she always blamed everybody else. And I was just like, and it was always like, well, if people would help me out, things would have been different. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's, she disappeared for months at a time and stuff like that, years at a time.
Well, I mean, you can't make people take responsibility for themselves. And part of that is, I think, in this movie, because you learn that his older daughter, the one who doesn't have a kid and is the actress he has never seen and all that kind of stuff, that she has a history of mental illness, that she has a suicide attempt. And that's when you realize, like, it's all drawn together. Like, his mom actually succeeded, she tried, all that kind of stuff. And it softens them and makes them a little more human. Yeah. But, I mean, I think, like, I know a lot of people from different kinds of families, and there's often, like, one kid where somebody goes, how did you like, you're not that. How are you not that? And it's like, well, I don't know, because I am. Like, you look at these two sisters, and it's not as simple as this one has problems and this one has her shit together. Like, one of them is more okay at everyday life. And we learned, she goes, that's because you were my big sister. Like, you basically took the hits and it's made your life suffer, but you gave me something that my parents didn't give me. And it's very sweet and it's very honest and it's very real.
Even being raised in the same house, you don't have the same experience.
Exactly.
And even if your parents are trying to, like, I mean, obviously some people were raised in the same house and it's because maybe you have shitty parents and they favor one over the other. But even parents because I'll say this, like as parents, my wife and I, we try our best to, raise our kids in a way that, I mean, it's so challenging because you also don't want to make it where it's like there's no sort of like, I'm not a big fan of the whole like where everything's exactly equal either, because you want to have
Right.
you want to have unique relationships with your kids,
Right.
because you kind of rob them of something where it's like if everything's exactly the same, then that's and I love the fact that each one of my sons I have a very unique relationship with, and but even with that, and even being aware of trying to do best can to have each one of them have their unique experience, but like a shared experience that is equitable. I don't know if that's the right word, but what I'm trying to, but I think you kind of get what I'm trying to say here. I'm not one of those parents. I don't play favorites or anything like that. It's just my kids. I try to treat them all the same way. So it's like it's very funny because I see. So I have 3 sons, and I always see. And I always have to explain to them why I do this is a particular thing that my oldest son he'll try to start parenting my middle son.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, no. I said, don't do that. I said, let me do that. Let me handle that. And then my middle son will try to parent my youngest son. And then I'll say to him, my oldest son's name's Trent. And I said, look, I don't let Trent do that to you, so you don't do that to your little brother. So I'm like, I have to constantly do things like that to try to explain to them so they understand. So I guess that's what I mean by equitable, where I'm trying to be like, I'm not trying to show favoritism, but at the same time, I'm also, I'm still trying to have that unique experience with each one of them. And that's, so boy, this is really, whew. Anyway, I don't mean to get too far off the track here, but
the
I think
movie's about real stuff that people relate to. So
yeah, and I think that was I think this movie gives you a lot of time to kind of like think about things and ruminate on things, because it's just the way that it's written and sort of the cadence. It's a little bit slower than a lot of the other movies that we watch. So you're kind of like. I certainly found myself thinking about certain things.
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, that was really because and because of that too. It's one of those things. Not because of that, but one of the things that I noticed too was the dialogue in this movie. It's like a lot of stuff. It's you learn a lot about like what's not said, or you learn a lot about the characters from what they don't say,
which is very real.
Yeah, and that's because I mean, so much in these movies, especially nowadays, they want to be so explicit with the characters' feelings, and they want to tell you, and sometimes it's kind of interesting, and I think this is just this movie in general, where it is like you said, like the ending of the movie. It's like I guess it's a happy ending, I guess, or it's the happiest ending that you can get. But anyway, so that was boy, I really went on a lot too.
Don't apologize. Only apologize for not putting it behind a paywall, Scott.
Sure, I know. I do think the other thing about this,
if you want to listen to this episode and submit it to your health insurer, you're welcome to do so.
Or maybe we should charge for therapy. This is Gustav cannot really talk to his kid. He doesn't. I was saying he feels that pain. I think he truly, genuinely does feel it. And he does want to have that family connection, but he can't articulate it. So I think that his art, which is the thing that he's good at, creating art, making films. So that was his way. That's why he wrote this thing, this movie for his daughter.
Well, also, he hasn't made a feature film in like 15 years or something. He's made some documentaries that nobody seems to be super impressed with. But.
Let me tell you, the scariest line of dialogue that I've seen in recent movies was the fact that he's 70 years old, and he goes, "What happened?" He goes, 15 years ago, we were 55. And I went, fuck, I'm 54.
Yeah. Yep.
That was horrifying. But that was scarier.
I felt that, and I just turned 50. And I
know, like, what the hell? But I do think that he is, like, it's so I think, like, his apology, the the best that he can muster as far as an apology was to write the screenplay for his daughter. I mean, I think he had something that he wanted to say, but it sort of served this dual purpose. Like, I'm going to make this story about my mom, but it's really kind of about my daughter. And then but also it's a gesture of love, but also is it kind of like is it sort of like control in a way? Because it's sort of like it's love, but it's like on my terms. I'm gonna do this. You're gonna be in this. You'll be in this movie that I'm directing. Like
right.
That's also so there are.
It's not even a parody or a balance.
It's not a truly selfless thing that he's just like giving to her. He's not saying, "Hey, take this and do something with it."
Well, the thing is, though, everybody that reads the script. People who read the script bring various specific opinions that aren't positive necessarily about Stellan Skarsgård's character. They're like, God, this is really good. It's really good. And that's why eventually Nora's sister, Agnes, right, says to her, like she goes and checks on her. She's worried that her sister's going to try and take her own life again and all this other stuff. And she's like, you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
But I just read it and I think you need to read it.
Yeah.
And so just reading it was healing enough to pull her, back from the brink of her depression. And then apparently, like the very end of the movie, there's no talking. They do this one shot.
Yeah.
And then it's funny, people are confused. The way that you're watching the shot of the movie that he's making where she
it's
like
the shot
his mother,
he explained.
Right, but like she walks through the door and the door closed. And if you're watching that movie, not the movie we're watching, but if you're watching that movie, you're like, oh, then she goes and she hangs herself, which she was about to do. And then her son came back and then he left and then she went and she hung herself. But in the movie Sentimental Value, starring Stellan Skarsgård that we're watching, she walks through the door. Then she just kind of, I don't know why I'm posing. You can't see me, but she kind of waits.
Yeah.
She's waiting for somebody to say cut.
Yeah.
And so people were confused. They're like, I don't understand. Why didn't she hang herself? It's like, no. She was an actress making a movie, and what she was making was important. But that moment of waiting, and then it cuts to her father, who's clearly very moved.
Yeah, that's why it's like,
and then he says cut. And then his DP that he wasn't going to hire because he's a crip bobo is there. And the guy's like,
So
you did a good job.
My question was, did he hire him as a consultant, or is he actually?
I think he's the DP.
Wow.
He's sitting in front of a monitor, and so he and Nora look at each other really for the first time. It's very cool because it's very subtle, but it's really nice because they cut back and forth between them, and their face, like Stellan Skarsgård's performance is amazing in this movie. His face just gets softer.
Yeah.
And he just like smiles at her daughter. And we haven't seen him look like that in the whole movie. Like he stepped up. Like at one point they're doing the whole interview after interview after interview press thing for this movie for Netflix or whatever. And one of the interviewers starts asking obnoxious
that's what
questions about
with Al Fanning.
Yeah, about Rachel Kemp or something, and is she a good actress? Or I don't even remember.
Oh no, he asked her. He said, "How do you feel after your last movie was a bomb?" Or something
right.
Like that?
And then Stellan Skarsgård is like,
shitty thing to say.
Like I'm going to be chivalrous and be like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking to her like that? But like, you didn't show up to your daughter's play. You're not like a hero or something. Like that guy was being a dick. But also, Rachel Kemp isn't your daughter. Elle Fanning's character doesn't need you to protect her. Maybe she does, but you don't know. But you're like, I'm going to compensate for my failure as a father to protect this young lady.
Him a Twitter troll.
Like, fuck off. It's just, I don't know.
No, TikTok troll.
I don't think the movie is sympathetic to his failures, but I also think the movie doesn't discount him as a person because of his failures. So in a way, I think the movie is actually pretty emotionally generous.
I think,
I didn't really connect with the movie, but I saw what it was doing and I thought it did it pretty well.
Yeah.
But like if you take all the movies that I saw last year, this would be one of those movies where I would go, I see why it's getting all these awards and attention.
I hear.
It's not doing it for me.
Yeah, I did.
But I prefer to watch movies about especially like fathers and daughters that are much crazier sometimes. Like one of my favorite movies is The Sweet Hereafter. And when you discover what Sarah Polley's daughter character and her father, what's happened to them and how it drives the way to the end of the story, it's like really shocking. And the stuff that's here is very painful, but it's more like my dad left the family and it fucked up my whole life. And that's really sad, but that's not as dramatic as, so I did kill myself, or there was molestation. Like her father's a selfish, drunk asshole. It doesn't make him evil. It makes him a terrible father. And she's a little kid who needed a father.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like it's very there's definitely some vibey stuff going on here, where it's just like the music and everything like that. And it's like also like, did you? And I don't know if you found this distracting, because the very first time it happened, I found it a little bit distracting, and then as it went on, like, and I was like, okay, well, this is just part of it. Was the transitions where it dips to black and actually the sound cuts out, and then you're like,
yes,
I was like, the first time it happened, I was like, what, did something happen?
Right.
And then once it did, I was like, is this the end of The Sopranos? And I was like, and then once they did that and I was like, okay, well that's part of the movie. I get it. And it's just, there's a lot of like I said, there's people contemplating, and there's jazzy music playing.
That's one other thing that it didn't like ruin the movie for me for anything. Saturday Night Live, I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's been on TV for a while, and it does comedy sketches, and they are of over the 51 years, uneven in quality. That's fine. They've done now at least two of a Scandinavian movie. That's very funny, because it's about two actors on a movie, and they're very serious about their father. Yeah. And then they say cut, and then they just start making jokes and stuff. Yeah. So I'm watching it, and I'm like, this SNL thing is wormed into my head. It's like, it's so silly, but I also feel like it's funny. It's cute. Like the second time they did it, it had Alexander and Stellan Skarsgård in it playing, in the sketch kind of thing. But I feel like that, like, it's not bad that I thought of that, because it's a funny sketch. But I feel like if I was more into the movie, I wouldn't have even thought about it. And that's more about me in the movie. Like, I haven't seen all of Thomas Vinterberg's films, but my favorite Thomas Vinterberg films are Celebration, which I told you is insane, and then The Hunt, with Mads Mikkelsen as an elementary school teacher who gets accused of something he did not do with one of his students. And that is like a really very insanely realistic, upsetting movie. This is in a lower gear, where you feel the pain of each character in their lives. But if Stellan Skarsgård makes this movie or doesn't make this movie, it's going to be about his life and his family's life. It's not going to be about, like, does the town survive or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, sometimes that's what people are, and that's what they're in the mood for.
But it's real. I mean, the scale of it is real.
You know what I did like the fact,
which I thought was fine.
What I did appreciate that they didn't. They really could have pulled some more. They really could have dove a little too deep into the whole meta aspect of making the movie. I feel like they only really do it at the very end, where it's like, because at the very end, because it does take a second for you to go, oh, this is the scene he talked about in the movie. Because at first I was like, well, there's that, and the fact that I could tell that it was blue screen. Yeah, and I was like, oh,
well, okay, so let's talk about that, because the whole movie begins and passes through this house that the daughters grew up in, and that he grew up in, and that his mother, their grandmother, killed herself in, and that this movie is set in that kind of house. And the house is a sort of classic style house, and you feel all this history and all this stuff. And he's going to shoot the movie, because what we learned at the beginning is that our mom died, and they were divorced years ago. Yeah. But actually, Dad still owns the house. Like, we thought we were going to sell the house, and make some money, but he owns the house. But he's not even like, I'm going to own the house and I'm going to sell it and fuck you. He's like, I'm going to shoot a movie in it. Yeah. It's really a movie about us, which unsurprisingly is not the most appealing thing for them to get involved in. But at the end of the movie, you see, as Rachel Kemp leaves, and you're like, I don't know if they're going to make this movie. And you see the house getting demoed, and it gets remade as very modern, sterile, all this kind of stuff, which apparently a lot of audience members were like, it was so painful to see it, all this kind of stuff. And then you cut to the original kitchen, and you realize, you realize pretty early on, oh, it's a movie set. Yeah. But it was funny, because I kind of, like, Rachel Kemp left. The movie star left, which means that the financing fell through. So I read that as, I will sell the house, which we know is an expensive house. I will sell the house. That's part. I mean, it's just me reading it, but part of it is to make the movie and to tell this story of my family. I will let that go. Yeah, I will sell that, because the house that may or may not have been to somebody's taste, but the house that they built after demoing it sure looked like a high end, expensive kind of thing. And this movie that they're making isn't a $40 million movie. Like, if you told me they made this movie for $2 million. And the only way they could get that kind of funding was to have a movie star because it's a very small movie. Okay, well, you could sell a nice house and you could make money. And that may just be something that I'm bringing to it, but I saw that as a physical way to step away from that past and to make a piece of art, because this piece of art, if it's a movie, it will live as long as anybody can watch it. You know, we don't find out it's a hit movie. It's not a hit movie. It revives his career. None of that stuff matters. But the house that fueled everything and that housed everything, it's gone.
I mean,
but it's not gone.
I think it was a very deliberate choice to make it look that way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything's intentional. So it's like when you look at that. So, I mean, I think what you're saying is probably that I'm sure there's some validity to it, because it's like, why else would you make it look that way?
Well, that's the sentimental value of the thing, and
it's
that
no
doesn't
longer
matter.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, I have shelves and shelves of Blu-ray and 4K movies. After I die, if somebody wants to just take them, watch them, sell them, or throw them away, I don't care.
Yeah.
Because I'll be dead.
Yeah.
But they're mine now. They're special to me.
I like the fact that, of course, I guess it's a law that you have to make some kind of IKEA reference.
Oh, legally, yes, in Scandinavian films.
I know when I saw that, I was like, well, they can tick that off of the the checklist. So I feel like we've talked a lot about this. Can I talk about a couple technical things?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I know. Well, you have to listen to the Patreon. No. One of the things I would talk about is the cinematographer, Casper Tuxen. He did the way that they shot this was they shot 35 millimeter. So they did all film.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I saw in the credits. I didn't realize the whole thing was on film. That was interesting.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They wanted to do that.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So what they did is they shot 35 millimeter for all the contemporary stuff. And then they used specific. They're very expensive. If you know anything about the lenses, Cook lenses are very expensive cinema lenses.
Okay.
And they use those for like the close-ups, because there's a certain softness to them for the close-ups. And the period flashbacks, they use 16 millimeter. Film with vintage lenses.
Yeah, interesting.
And they use like a special kind of like processing. And then they also for like the I don't know. I guess the other stuff really isn't important, but this was. But one of the things that Trier said, he said that the reason that they wanted to use 35 millimeter, because they knew they were going to use that for a lot of the close-ups, that the it picks up, it reads the color on faces, the skin color on the faces. So like when there's reactions that cause, because you can actually see that. I don't know if you noticed on Nora's face, there's a few times where she's like getting upset and her face gets kind of flush and red, and it really and I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't notice at the time, but it's like when I was reading this and I was like, and I was kind of recalling, I was like, yeah, I did notice a couple times where her face gets a little reddish, but it's just the actors' faces, the change in the color in their face could really get picked up by that 35 millimeter. Also, just he liked the way the grain just felt like organic, and that's the look he wanted to go with.
Well, he's an interesting DP anyway, because he's shot a couple of other movies that I really liked. He shot Beginners, which was it Mike Mills? That's the movie with Christopher Plummer and Ewan McGregor and Melanie Laurent. And Christopher Plummer is Ewan McGregor's father, so he's like 80.
Okay.
And then he comes out. He lives his whole life. And
That's
a very
old movie.
It's 2010, I think. It's a beautiful,
2010? Really?
It's a beautiful, very
like,
sweet movie.
Okay.
And then he also shot Riders of Justice. With Mads Mikkelsen, which is a really crazy movie that was I thought was really quite good, which is about a guy who's a soldier who comes back from war, I guess Afghanistan or something, and he's basically, oh, what a surprise, a father quite estranged from his daughter. And when he comes back, his wife is killed in a bombing on a train, a terrorist bombing.
Oh, that sounds like a pleasant movie.
Well, his whole thing is like, I'm going to find out who killed my wife that I didn't really have much of a relationship with because I was consumed by being a soldier, and I'm going to avenge her. And it's like, but your daughter needs her dad. Yeah. So it's a different, it's very good, but it's a different angle on the same kinds of things. Like you went away to make movies, to be a soldier. It's not even judging that this one's a better one to go away. You weren't there, Dad. I needed you, Dad. And then you come back and your priorities are all wrong. And what's interesting about this movie that we watched is that his priorities are like, I'm going to get my career back. I'm going to make a movie back. But he's actually not. He's not trying to use his daughter to make his movie and like get awards and stuff. He's like, I think I can actually connect with them.
Yeah.
And that's actually kind of sweet.
I also think that the editing, Olivier Coute, I looked that one up.
Good job.
And I thought the way that they edit and they kind of flow into the past. And,
Well, he cut beginners too.
Did he?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I thought that was done very well. I thought like because there's the whole the way that they cut, especially that scene where the sister Agnes goes and she finds all the she gets all that information about her grandmother and what happened when she was taken by the state police. Like I felt like that was handled in a way that like it was. I felt like it wasn't like. I felt like they did a good job of giving you the idea of how horrible it was without getting like overly explicit.
Okay.
And which I kind of appreciate because I mean I don't necessarily need like I feel like they were getting close like because they were kind of showing you like they were like it was like they were showing you like demonstrations, like the pictures were showing you demonstrations of the torture techniques without actually showing the torture techniques.
They were reenactments,
which I was like,
which is fine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't need to see, and so I kind of appreciated the way that I'm sure that was sort of an editor and a director kind of choice to do that. I just thought, but I thought also just the way that they kind of would flow into. There was a few times where. I kind of had to recalibrate for a second. I was like, okay, we're in the past here. There was just a few times where, and that didn't happen often, but it was like, it took me a second or two to realize where we are and where we are generationally too. Mm-hmm. Because it was like, is this the childhood of Nora and Agnes? Is this or is this Gustav's childhood? There was a couple times where I was like, I gotcha. Yeah, but I thought it would. But
because it's about the same things, so it makes sense that.
And it was. I mean, it wasn't like I never felt confused, and that's actually a testament, I think, to the way that they edited
I agree.
the movie. So and I think pretty much we said kind of. I was just looking at sort of like my final notes here, just that the film's resolution. It's like it's sort of gesturing towards healing. Without being, what'd you say?
Some hope.
Yeah, it's gesturing that way,
enough.
but it's without actually like putting it in a nice little bow where it's like, hey, hey Dad, are we gonna hang out next weekend kind of thing? Where that would be so not what this movie's about.
It doesn't say, hey, do you want to have a catch?
Yeah, this isn't Field of Dreams.
I do love that movie, but it's a different vibe.
Yeah, this is definitely. And you have Aunt Gladys like coming out of the cornfield. That would be. Could you imagine if they mashed those two movies up?
I would watch that. I would be very curious. There are a couple of other people in the movie performance-wise that you may or may not know, like Jesper Christensen, who's his producer buddy.
Yes,
has been in
a huge amount of movies. The face, but I can't remember what he's been in.
You probably know him most from Mr. White in Quantum of Solace and Spectre and Casino Royale. He's one of the bad guys that we meet. And Anders Danielsen, I don't know if it's pronounced Lie or Lee. He's the actor that she has like slap me or fuck me.
Oh, that
so I'll
guy.
go on
Yeah,
stage.
that guy.
But then when he's divorcing his wife, she's like, we can be together. And he's like, yeah, I don't know. And then he walks off.
Oh, I know. That was so, I was like, God damn.
He's a very good actor. He's been in a lot of interesting stuff. Like he's been in other
he
movies.
He looks slightly familiar.
He's in Personal Shopper and Worst Person in the World, which I haven't seen. And he's in what is the name of that movie? It's the movie where I think he's in Paris. Oh, The Night Eats the World. He's the star.
Okay, I've seen that.
Yeah,
I love. I mean, that's funny. That movie doesn't have. It's like if you look up like on a lot of sites, the ratings are very middle of the road. But I actually kind of like.
There's
that
some
movie.
neat stuff. It says as zombie movies go, it does its own thing. And he's also what I know him best from. It's a much bigger role. I don't know if you ever saw 22 July. that's a Netflix movie that Paul Greengrass did. Paul Greengrass, who did lighthearted movies like
Yes,
like The Bourne Ultimatum and United 93.
93.
So 22
Very
July,
lighthearted.
Anders plays.
Oh God, is that the one about the school?
No, it's about he plays Anders Breivik, who, if you're from Scandinavia, you should definitely know that name. He set off a bomb at a government building, and when the country responded to that, he went to the summer camp where all of the left-wing parties' families were and started murdering children.
It's not a school; it was a camp.
And then he got arrested. He survived, and he got arrested. And then he's like, "Get me one of the most famous liberal lawyers to defend me, and I'm going to use my trial as a podium for my Nazi shit."
Really?
And the movie is very, very good. And he's very, very upsetting.
I think,
and he's very, very intense. Like it's like I just found out today.
One
of my
like
colleagues.
A good movie. Sounds like also one I'll skip.
Well, one of my colleagues, he started talking about his birthday's coming up, and he wants to watch a movie, and his birthday is July 22nd.
Don't do that to him.
I said if you look on Netflix, there is a movie called 22 July, and it's actually quite a good movie, and you should not watch it for your birthday.
Yeah,
you should not watch it with your family.
I am.
And then I told him about it, and he was like, "Oh, I want to see that, but not on my birthday." I said, "That's fine."
No, yes, watch.
I said, "Did you watch United 93 and think that's good? I don't want to watch it on my birthday." Same thing.
Yeah, good grief.
But yeah, no, Anders Danielson Lee Lai is good. I kind of thought he'd actually have a bigger role because I've seen him as lead in other stuff.
Yeah,
but he was good. Like that scene where he basically dumps her.
Director, maybe.
Well, but when he was in Oslo August 31st, so he's worked for him.
So yeah, I mean,
before.
so maybe
But like the way he just left her in the woods.
I know.
Like it was a small moment,
so
but
cold.
it was really shitty.
So cold.
It's really
She's
shitty.
like, because it was like, because I kind of felt like she was giving him the vibe, like maybe, and then when he was like. Because she was like, remember how she was saying, oh, I kind of like that. I kind of like that he's married because, it was like, I got the impression that she was she liked the vibe of like, well, he's married, so.
But that's all. It can only go so far, right?
And then as soon as she was like, oh, we can, now we don't have to hide. And he's like, yeah, no.
Well, he literally said, he doesn't even say, he just kind of looks at her and he says, his face says no, but he goes, I don't know. And it's like, wow, you just say no thanks. You don't have to be a dick. But she didn't, she didn't take a message of maybe it'll happen. She just got the message. But she's walking through this forest and it's a gorgeous shot. The sunlight is dappled on her and she's just like, what just happened?
I know, I'd be like, I think I gotta go home.
But I don't know that actors should be with other actors anyway. It sounds really annoying.
I know, I'd be like, I gotta go home, eat ice cream, watch Netflix.
There you go.
Anyway, I don't really have much more to add. Did you have anything else that you wanted to?
No, this was a movie that I wanted to like more than I liked it. Without nothing, I have nothing to say. Like it's not a bad movie or anything.
Yeah.
But it's about very explicitly the way that the lives of two children are shaped by the decisions of their parents, including disappearing. And it reminded me of one of my favorite movies, which is much more overtly intense, which is Warrior with Joel Edgerton and Tom Hardy, about two brothers who are physically, geographically torn apart and therefore estranged by the decisions of their parents, including their father, Nick Nolte, who I think got an Oscar nomination for it. So that movie, now that's an Andrew crying movie. But that movie is about similar themes. It's like, how does the family come together? Except in that movie, in this movie that we watched, the younger sister's like, I'm okay because you were there. And in this movie, these two brothers are not okay because their parents pulled them apart.
Yeah.
And it was just like a different facet. That's just a connection in my head. But I don't know. Sometimes you see a movie and you're like, this is about something I'm really interested in. I'm not so interested in the execution. But there's a lot of amazing movies that come out of Scandinavia. And if you put this towards the top of the list, I respect that. It's no Mads Mikkelsen Viking warrior that doesn't talk in Valhalla or anything. It's good stuff. It's no 13th Warrior.
There you go. Well, yeah, I didn't have anything else to add. So, I mean, if that's all you had left to add, then I will say it's a wrap on Sentimental Value. Hey, we'll be back next week with Parasite, which is
another lighthearted film.
Which, well, I mean, it's
definitely
funnier. Different.
It's
It definitely is.
It's more Korean.
And so with that, I will say follow us on your favorite podcast platform or directly at storypunk.com. You can also find us on Instagram at storypunkpod or on Facebook for updates. And if you would like to hear us yap a little bit more about movies in a more snack size portion, you can find us on Letterboxd. I am Storypunk Scott, and Drew is also on Letterboxd.
Solid Gould.
And with that, I will say, remember, story matters.